Hey, there we go. I think we are live. Shout out to Pete Gray, the first person in the live stream. He was in there straight away, just about. I'd no sooner put it up than he was in. But we miss seeing Pete with the bus out of commission as it is until August when we get it repaired. But good to see you tonight, Pete. Really, really glad that you're able to come in. So now I've shut off my phone. That should make it a lot more easier for you to understand. Hey, yeah, I'm a bit rusty with this. It's been a while since we've done a live stream. But as you know, we had tried to go live on Wednesday nights and we just had no success. The reception there at the school, because of where it is, I think it's in a low spot there. I could only get 2 bars at the best of times, and I just could not make a connection that would hold up. The room that we meet in there obviously is not the best either to record in. I've done a couple of taped messages on Wednesday night, but it's very hollow. I don't know why. Probably because we don't have the big speakers pounding at it like we do in the morning. Thanks to all those people who come in and set them up. So what we thought we'd do, I thought, well, how am I going to get around this? You know, I could tape it and try and put it up on YouTube, but then you don't really get any kind of interaction with people, do you? And if having to go online from COVID and all of that mess taught us anything, it was that a lot of the people who aren't able to come for various reasons, on maybe Sunday night, Wednesday night, they will still call in, they'll dial in, they'll get on the live streams when we had those, and we had to have them for some time. We're done with those now. So those replacement service live streams are done. But this is not one of those. This is actually a new live stream. I don't know if you've noticed, but there is absolutely nothing on television. Nothing. There's barely anything on the news that you can rely upon. But I'll tell you what there is. There is a chance for us to get together. So I thought, hey, why don't we just have a Thursday night live stream? It's no big deal to do another live stream. And plus it gives a chance for us to interact and for you guys to interact in the chat. I don't get to do much of that, but you can understand why. But I'm glad you guys get to, because that's important. And, you feel more a part of it, I think. It is a live venue, even though it is, via internet. So that was the purpose. So going forward, we'll be having a Thursday night live stream at 7 p.m. And of course, we'll send out notifications to everyone, let them know. What we're doing at the moment is we're following, because most of the people who are in tonight will not be in, say, Wednesday nights or sometimes Sunday nights. We're doing the Wednesday night study in Joshua, and we've been putting this up on our YouTube channel, but we've gone through chapter 5, which was the crossing, of course, of the Jordan River. But it sort of stalled out there because we weren't able to. We tried to do a live stream. It didn't work out. We tried to do videos from there and upload them, but they came out really bad. I just couldn't get anything to work. So that leaves us with Thursday night live. So that's going to be our answer. Thursday night live is going to take this series of the book of Joshua right on through to its conclusion. And I know that there'll be a couple of folk on here who will have heard the lessons in Joshua, these lessons already. My apologies for that. But usually when I was listening to sermons, I always wish that I could hear it again. I've got some sermons on tape from men who were my pastors that I sat under in America. Still love listening to those. So hopefully you'll get something from that as well tonight. And it is good to be with you all. I appreciate your prayers. I know you've been praying for me. And I think I'm still, I told the guys on Wednesday night, I'm still a week or two away, I think, from being 100%. It takes a long time to come back. But, it's just something you have to do. What can I say? No one can give up. You just got to keep going. And so I pray that it'll be a full recovery. I'll be able to walk like I used to without having to stop and lay down to straighten out my back. Well, it's been a blessing to go through the book of Joshua. I've been through this book many times, reading through it, and also teaching through it many times. But everything is new with the Bible when you touch it, and that's the way I find the Bible anyway. We're in Joshua chapter 6, very familiar Bible story. If you were in Sunday school as a kid, or your mother read you stories at night before you went to bed from the Bible, it's the story of the defeat of Jericho. And some great songs written about that too, kids' songs. I love those songs. And, although at the time I didn't know God, it still put the knowledge of what he had done into my mind. So without any further ado, let's get started, shall we? Oh, by the way, I got a haircut. If you guys notice it. Started to look like one of the Beatles, aged. So I thought it was time to have a little trim. So this is a self-inflicted trim. If you have any issues or qualms with the hairstylist, that would be me. I like cutting my hair because I know when enough is enough. And then I leave my wife in charge of the part that I can't see. She's the only one I trust to cut the part that you can't see. And she does a good job. All right, let's go right ahead into chapter 6 of the book of Joshua. Now remember, the Israelites have just been through 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. They've defeated Sihon and Og on the other side of the Jordan River. They've taken their lands. They've already divided that up to the nations, or to the two tribes and 2.5 that were going to take up residence there. Now they've come across Jordan, and they're about to venture into the wars to free this nation. These were not just wars for Israel to take over the country of the land of Canaan, but they were wars of judgment for God, for the sins of the Canaanites and the Amorites and the Hittites and the Hivites that were in the land came to its full measure. Anyone doubts the long-sufferingness of God, remember that he sent Abraham, whom he had promised to give this land in the land of Israel. He delivered his descendants into Egypt for 430 years. And why? Because the sins of the people in the land of Canaan were not yet full. He was giving opportunity for the Amorites and the Hittites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. He was giving opportunity for them to turn. He always gives much opportunity. But of course, there always draws an end to that mercy, and eventually justice has to rule. Where there's no seeking of mercy, justice must reign. And in chapter 6, we read an interesting thing here. We know the spies were sent in, by the way, and Rahab gave entrance to the spies, the two spies that were sent in, and she told them, the people, their hearts have melted when they heard you guys crossed over the Red Sea. Their hearts melted, and they've heard that you've destroyed Sihon and Og and the nations over there on the other side, and they know there's nothing they can do. So we read in chapter 6, verse 1, now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out and none came in. So keep in mind too that Jericho's not a weak city, not a small city. It was a formidable place, hard to fight against. Walls of stone all the way around, thick walls of stone. And listen, when they shut the doors and battened down the hatches, it was going to take something amazing to turn this thing around. God had already told Joshua how this battle was going to go forth. He said, and the Lord said unto Joshua, verse 2, see, I have given unto thine hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor, and ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city once. Thus shall you do 6 days. And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times. And the priests shall blow with trumpets. And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up, every man straight before it. Now, this took faith for men to hear and believe, but there was a track record with God. There was the Red Sea. There was the Jordan in flood, how he had staunched the waters from coming down. And the Jordan River was dry all the way down to the Dead Sea while the children of Israel passed over. They found a place to camp there once they had passed over, and they were preparing for war. They were preparing to inherit the land. God was taking it from the nations that we mentioned before, and he was handing it to the Israelites. It's his to give and to take from whomsoever he will. All things that are in existence are the Lord's. All is the Lord's. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. So you see, he can give it to whomsoever he will. And we won't hear any quarter from people who say, he's a mean, vindictive God. No. He's a loving God. He is a just God. He is a merciful God. But mercy must be sought. And they had been given ample time to seek it. Now, let's move on. What happened after the great information was given out? Well, it says in verse 6, Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said unto them, take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord. And he said unto the people, pass on and compass the city, and let him that is armed pass on before the ark of the Lord. And it came to pass that when Joshua had spoken unto the people, the 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horns passed on before the Lord, and blew with the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. And the armed men went before the priests that blew with the trumpets, and rearward came afterward the ark, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. And Joshua had commanded the people, saying, ye shall not shout, nor make any noise with your voice, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth, until the day I bid you shout, and then you shall shout. So the ark of the Lord compassed the city, going about it once, and they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests, and took up the ark of the Lord, and the 7 priests bearing 7 rams' horns before the ark of the Lord went on continually, and blew with the trumpets, and the armed men went before them. But the rearward came after the ark of the Lord, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. And the second day compassed the city once more, returned into the camp, and so they did 6 days. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early in the dawning of the day, and compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day compassed the city 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priests blew with the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, Shout, for the Lord hath given you the city, and the city shall be accursed, even it and all that are therein, to the Lord. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in her house, because she hath hid the messengers that we sent. And ye in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest ye make yourselves accursed, when ye take of the accursed thing, and make the camp of Israel a curse, and trouble it. But all the silver and the gold, and the vessels of brass and iron, are consecrated unto the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord. So the people shouted when the priests blew the trumpets. And it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. Now, this is a man following the pattern that was given to him by God. There's not one variation from what God had told Joshua to what was being carried out. He was bringing it all to pass. And I said this on Wednesday night, and I'll say it again here. Joshua is not a perfect man. He is obviously a human like we are, with faults and failings and a sin nature. But Joshua is the kind of man that I would like to follow. He's the kind of man who would follow Moses and would stick close to the man of God. He's the kind of man who would trust God to lead the nation of Israel into their promised inheritance. And he did as best he could to follow the guidance of the Lord. What did he do? He said, this city is cursed. It is cursed for the Lord. He says the gold, the silver, the items of brass, and the items of silver, the bowls and such, those are consecrated to the Lord's coffers. They're going to be his. Everything else, he said, within it is to be destroyed. Everyone. All life is to be snuffed out. Animals, it didn't matter. They were to be destroyed. The people were charged not to touch anything within it, not to take anything to themselves, lest they be accursed by taking the accursed thing. And after they had destroyed the city and all that were therein, they then burnt the city with fire. Think about those walls too, the walls that were the greatest defense, and what, to be honest, Jericho was trusting in. Oh, I'm sure they prayed to their false god, but they were trusting in those walls. You know, those walls limit who can come in, how long it takes them to get in. This might be doable, but the walls fell flat. And the people just ran right over the rubble of the walls and ran right into the city. And it was a rout. The city was routed, and soon its smoke rose up, and only the things that were dedicated to God were pulled out, and the cursed city was on fire. It says here, but Joshua had said, this is verse 22. Oh, we'll read verse 21 too. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, ox and sheep and ass, and with the edge of the sword. But Joshua said unto the two men that had spied out the country, go into the harlot's house and bring out thence the woman and all that she hath, as ye swear unto her. And the young men that were spies went in and brought out Rahab and her father and her mother and her brethren and all that she had. And they brought out all her kindred and left them without the camp of Israel. And they burnt the city with fire and all that was therein, only the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and the vessels of iron they put in the treasury of the house of the Lord. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father's household, and all that she had, and she dwelleth in Israel even unto this day. It's almost like a tribe was taken out of the old town of Jericho, hey? But these were people who were fearful of the one true God of heaven. They knew that the Lord, he was God. And they had helped, in that knowledge, they had helped Joshua and the Israelites by harboring the spies. It says there, and Joshua saved Rahab and all her father's house. Like I said, it's like a tribe being pulled out. It's one household being saved. Think of the mercy of God, right? Saving this whole family, a mother, a father, brothers, Rahab, one of the sisters who was the harlot, their children, saved all of them alive. That shows the mercy of God. And it says, and Joshua adjured them at the time, saying, cursed be the man before the Lord that riseth up and buildeth this city, Jericho. He shall lay the foundations thereof in his firstborn, and in his youngest son shall he set up the gates of it. And so the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame was noised throughout all the country. And of course, we know that Jericho was rebuilt, and that the curse that it would be rebuilt in the with giving the lives of the youngest of the person who rebuilt it came to pass. We know, although we don't have time tonight to discuss what a great part Rahab plays in the lineage of the Bible. Wondrous things. But see, God is good. He's merciful to the people. Let's talk about the nations round about that area and how God was merciful to them. Well, for one thing, God sent Abraham through, and he gave them, after Abraham, 430 years of peace until judgment came. But God had not forgotten the people. The people had forgotten God. We're talking about people who had forgotten God from after the flood. They'd gone down and taken up residence in this land, Canaanites primarily, and others that we've discussed. But you see, God was not willing that any should perish. Did you know that he sent a priest to this nation? He surely did. You remember Melchizedek from the book of Hebrews? Melchizedek was the high priest of Jerusalem at the time. He was not connected with Abraham, and yet we're told that Abraham paid respects to Melchizedek. Melchizedek was a priest of God. God can do his work in any way he sees fit, and he will do his work as he sees fit and as he pleases. You and I, hey, we may be lazy. We may not, rush out to do the work of the Lord. As a group, we may not have great labors for the Lord, but the Lord is working as well. It's not our power and our might, it's the Lord. We still have to work. We're meant to work. We're meant to tell the story. Jesus came to give his life on Calvary and to show an example for us of how we ought to live. But the Lord sent a priest into the center of that land. And let me tell you, there were children being sacrificed to Molech. Every crop, every season, they wanted to make sure they had a good crop. They wanted to make sure the blessing of Molech was upon them. They would feed their own children to this god. It was reprehensible. And yet amongst that kind of idol worship and foolishness and you can almost say devilishness as well, God put up a stronghold. He witnessed to those people through the priest. And you can bet he gave them plenty of time. Brethren, I wonder if we can gain anything out of this for our own life, examples for our life. We have enemies, don't we? We have, I'm not talking about people or countries. I'm talking about spiritual battles that we fight. We're here in Canaan. We're saved. We're on our way to glory. We have the Spirit of God. We're trying to drive out all of the sinfulness from this land, from our mind. But there's some great adversaries there. Some of them like Jericho, just a walled city, seemingly impenetrable. But you see, God has a means for victory. God has a way to overcome. There's no stronghold that won't eventually be overthrown with you. I know there may be things that you think, I don't think I can ever, totally defeat that, or I don't know that there's any way that, I can win a continuous victory. Well, all of these enemies are going to be overthrown. It's going to take your whole life battling, fighting, struggling. But you can bet the Lord is going to be there with you. The Spirit of the Lord is with you, just like the Ark of the Covenant went before the mighty men of valor in Israel. The great and wondrous power of that ark. Think the only thing that made it powerful was that it was the place where God came to meet with the people. Brethren, the Spirit of God is with us. Let us stand up and fight. This time that we have here on this earth, until we depart to be with Christ, these are our times of battle. Oh, the victory's won, just like it was won for Israel before they crossed over Jordan. Joshua was told, I'm going to turn all of these enemies into your hand and you're going to defeat them. The victory was won, but the battles still must be fought. Let's fight these battles. And let's stand up with the Spirit of God uh, as our strength and our forward and our rearward, looking after us on all sides. And let's take up the armor of God that we find in the New Testament, the shield of faith, the sword of the Spirit, the helmet of salvation. Let's take these things up and fight the good fight here on this earth. You know, if it is true, the greatest enemy to overcome is usually self. May God, by his Spirit, give us great victories. And may we rejoice in the fall of Jericho in our own lives. May we give God the honor and the glory and the praise. And I'm thankful for you all. Thankful that you came out to this first Thursday night live. Doesn't it sound exciting? I don't know that it was. But I'll tell you what, we preached the word and we got together. We said hello to each other. That's a good thing. See, you got brethren, you got people fighting the same battle you're fighting. And my prayer for you for the rest of this week, we'll meet again on Sunday. Those of us who can make it there, of course. The others, we're praying for you. My prayer is that God would give you great wisdom and discernment in the Word of God. Keep reading it. Keep reading it every single day. And He'll use that Word to guide you. It'll be like a light to your feet and a lamp to your path. Well, it's time to say good night. Now, I see people in the chat, and of course, we are glad that you're all here. And we will say good night to you all for now. We'll see you on Sunday. We'll see you on Wednesday. And we'll see you again Thursday night live when that comes around. It won't be long. We'll see you then. God bless.